On Tuesday, December 2nd, Manchester City striker Erling Haaland scored in the 17th minute at Fulham and became the fastest player to score 100 goals in the history of the world's richest football league, the English Premier League, doing so in just 111 games. This means it took him 13 fewer games than the previous record holder, Blackburn and Newcastle striker Alan Shearer. In this video, we will review the numerology of Norwegian forward Erling Haaland and the team he plays for, Manchester City FC, as well as the date he reached the century mark and why it occurred in West London against Fulham Football Club. After that, we will review how this all connects back to Alan Shearer, the man who saw his record fall yesterday. And to wrap things up, we'll also look at the numbers of Haaland's head coach at Man City, Pep Guardiola, and how the number 666 is embedded deep within this story. So let's take a quick trip across the pond and decode this special feat by one of the world's greatest footballers. And again, this video is primarily about the number 100. And the number 100 is important to the position of striker in the sport of football. Using the standard alphabetic order, where each letter is assigned a number relative to its position in the alphabet 1 through 26. The word striker equals 100. Now, what we're just looking at here is the language of Gematria, which is the ancient practice of observing and coding letters and numbers together. This is an occult practice which seems to be connected to the manifestation of events in reality, particularly in mass consciousness events such as English football and other main sports. Now, I talk about a lot of different sports on this channel, and not too much about the Premier League, but numerology is, of course, every bit as relevant to soccer as it is in any other sport. Now, in these primary ciphers I just showed, the base 4 and Latin, notice how the phrase 100 sums to both 54 and 45 in the reduction methods of Gematria. Well, the goal in which Erling Haaland scored his 100th Premier League goal, fascinatingly, ended with a score of 5-4 or 4-5, as it read on the screen. And this is highly unusual in the Premier League for 9 goals to be scored in one game. And what are the odds that it's 4-5 or 5-4, which is the same Gematria that the number 100 shares with the team that he accomplished this feat against, Fulham FC, whose nickname is the Cottagers. In the reduction method, Cottagers has the same Gematria as 100, both 54 and 45, like the score of the game. In the alphabetic order and Latin Gematria, which I consider to be the most significant cipher, 100 and Cottagers both also equal 108 and 436. So this means that a total of 9 goals were scored in the game in which Haaland broke the record for being the fastest to the century mark. Well, the number 9 just so happens to be the number on the back of Haaland's Man City jersey. Erling Haaland has many of the right numbers to be a star on Manchester City. In the alphabetic order, Manchester City sums to 163, which is also the value of the city of Manchester, England, 163. Manchester City's nickname is the Citizens, And when you write out Manchester City citizens, notice how you get another 163 in the Latin cipher. Well, Erling Haaland was born on the date July 21st, which is the date leaving 163 days on the calendar. The word century also with these digits in a different method. But it's important to understand that a major number to Manchester City is 106. Down in the description below, you should find my video that I made back in 2023 after Man City captured the European treble, winning their Nations Cup, their Nations League, and the Euro tournament. Or was it the Champions League that year? Sorry, I'm a silly American, so still got a little bit of catching up to do on football. But anyway, when Man City captured the treble, they did so on the 10th of January that year, which in England is written as 10/6. The city of Manchester is located at 53 degrees north and 2 degrees west. When you multiply those coordinates, you get a product of 106. Manchester City began their run under that name on the date April 16th of 1894, and April 16th is the 106th day of the year. Erling Haaland was born 106 years later. And check this out. In the alphabetic order, Norwegian equals 106. Erling Haaland, a Norwegian footballer. Erling Haaland equals 106 in ordinal. He is now the fastest player to the century mark, century 106. And he did so playing for Manchester, which equals 106. Manchester City citizens, also 106 reduction. Their head coach, Joseph Pep Guardiola Sala, his name equals 106 with the S exception. A number important to the English Premier League, which equals 106, reverse. When you write the number out, 106, you get a standard Gematria value of 1340. This method, nearly identical to Latin but uses the current 26-letter alphabet, in a structure that's similar to ancient Hebrew and Greek Gematria ciphers. Haaland scored his goal 134 days after his birthday. With capital letters applied, the number 100, as well as the team he scored number 100 against, the Cottagers, equals 134. On this channel, when I talk about the number 134, it's usually in regards to a solar eclipse, which sums to 134 ordinal. A solar eclipse occurs during the intersection of the two largest circles in the sky, which at first form a vesica Piscis, which also equals 134. Haaland's 100th career goal was scored exactly 1 year and 34 weeks after the last total solar eclipse over the United States, and also 1 year and 34 weeks before the 2027 total eclipse, a significant event that passes over the nation of Egypt. A lot of my recent videos on this channel have been about this very eclipse. But next up, I want to talk about the man whose record was broken yesterday, Alan Shearer, a veteran or native of Newcastle, I should say, who began his English Premier League career with the Blackburn Rovers prior to moving to his hometown and playing for Newcastle United. Appropriately, the name Shearer equals 100 in the same capitals letter cipher as the number 100. Notice how 100 also equals 100 in the same cipher. Now, on the date of Haaland's 100th goal, Look at how old Alan Shearer was. 20,200 days. Well, this stood out immediately because with capital letters, the name Alan Shearer equals 202. This is also the ordinal value of total solar eclipse. And the number 22 is, of course, important to football, where there are 22 players on the pitch at any given time. The word century sums to 2020 with square numbers. Erling Haaland reached the century mark in Fulham, West London, which also equals 202. Haaland was a span of 232 days before his next birthday. And in a couple of the mathematical ciphers that we look at from time to time here, trigonal and primes, which apply mathematical methods to the alphabetic order, both Haaland and Shearer equals 232. Also notice how Erling, Century, and Fulham FC all share 38 Gematria with 100 and Shearer. These words also equal 74, like Erling Haaland, the fastest now to the 100 mark. There's a few more alignments here that are mentioned in my post that connect us to the Manchester City coach Pep Guardiola. And the number 666 is encoded in this event as well. And we start with the fact that the name Haaland equals 95, like 666 in reduction. Don't forget, 666 days is a span of exactly 95 weeks. The Manchester City players are called the Citizens. And notice how in Latin Gematria, the word citizen equals 666. In standard Gematria, his opponent yesterday, the Cottagers also equals 666 in standard. Now, if you measure from the date that Alan Shearer scored his 100th Premier League goal to the date of Erling Haaland's birth, it was a span of exactly 1,666 days. Now, this is also 238 weeks. Well, 238 is the Latin Gematria of the number 666. In ordinal, 666 sums to 275. Now, the number 666 brings us to another special cipher in Gematria, one that is constructed around the number of the beast, this called Satanic Gematria, a phrase that sums to 666 in this very cipher. And as you can see, the numbers on which this cipher begins and ends are both connected to the code of 666s. Notice how the name Erling sums to 275 in this cipher, like 666. Well, the 275th prime number is 1777, and those are the 4 digits found when measuring from the birthday of Man City coach Pep Guardiola to the birthday of Erling Haaland, 10,777 days. You also have to appreciate how Haaland's full name has the same 879 standard Gematria as Pep Guardiola's full legal name. And that 879 is the same value shared by the Cottagers of Fulham FC, the Cottagers 879. For the last part of this video, I want to point out how on yesterday's date, Alan Shearer, the previous record holder, was 3 months, 19 days after his last birthday. In that satanic cipher, the name Shearer has matching 319 gematria with the word 100. Yesterday was also a span of 319 days after coach Pep Guardiola's birthday. Guardiola born on the 18th of January. Now, if you do not include the end date, this is also 318 days. 318 is the reverse gematria of his full name, Erling Braut Haaland. 318 reverse. However, you may also notice that his name equals 111 in the reverse reduction cipher. Well, in order to become the fastest player to 100 goals in EPL history, he did so in his 111th game. His 111th game was also 111 days after the birthday of former record holder Alan Shearer. His coach's full name, Josep Guardiola Sala, also 111 in the same cipher. When Alan Shearer scored his 100th goal for Blackburn, it was 1 month, 11 days after his birthday. And this number here, the 111, this is kind of an underhanded coding for the number 666. Consider how the alphabetic order, anything that sums to 111, will also sum to 666 in Sumerian, which is simply the alphabetic order times 6. And the Roman glyph for the number 1 is very similar to the glyph for the Hebrew letter Vav, which is worth 6 in Hebrew gematria. So the triple Vav, or the triple 1 in Hebrew, is worth 666. So no matter what sport you're watching, no matter where in the world it's taking place, and as I've often shown on my channel, no matter what language that nation speaks, English gematria seems to be of extreme relevance. Just check out my video on the 2 newest Yokozunas crowned in sumo wrestling over in Japan this year. A sport that has almost nothing to do with English. Yet these promotions, both of Onosato in May and of Hoshoryu back in January, also occurring by this same code of letters and numbers with the same ciphers. Not going to talk too much about this, but I did put up a post on the F1 race in Qatar this past week, where McLaren hilariously bungled another race. And I bring this up because the Eclipse code was very relevant to that story as well, as it featured a surprise podium finisher in Carlos Sainz of Williams. If you want to learn more about the Eclipse code, check that post out, as this race occurred on November 30th, which is the date of the 1331 eclipse, which this entire Eclipse code, particularly in Latin gematria, appears to be built around. So if you want to check out more, check out the blog on gematrinator.com. Also, if you made it to the end of this video and a nice little freebie sounds good to you, be the first to jump to the Gematrinator shop and enter code VIEWER25 to get yourself a free hoodie as temperatures start to drop here with winter approaching. It's probably a good time. So just doing a quick little giveaway here. We did one on the blog. Now we're doing one on the YouTube channel. Again, go to gematrinator.com/product/hoodie or follow the links from the shop. And if you're the first to use this viewer code here, this promo code, bag yourself a free hoodie. All right, everybody, that'll do it for this video. As always, check the links down in the description for more. Check out Rumble for my backup page, where I'm listed at Gematrinator. If you'd like to support the work, there are links for becoming a member at gematrinator.com, my website, down below. Peace, love, God bless. Again, my name is Derek. Till next time, see ya.